Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the Morphe 35O2 palette. So this is the second version of the famous 350 that blew up the makeup community. I'm very excited to talk about this. I have my thoughts on it, that is for sure. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you swatches, a tutorial, and just my general thoughts on the palette, as well as a couple comparisons to the Morphe palettes that I already have in my collection. So if you guys are interested in seeing what I have to say about this palette, then just keep on watching. I want to let you guys know that Morphe is now available at Ulta Beauty. So I highly recommend buying it from Ulta. If you do, you're going to get points. You're going to get a little bit faster shipping. So that would be my recommendation. I will leave a link down below where you can purchase this palette if you are interested in it. I had a lot of questions as to if it's worth it. If you already have the 350, do you need this one in your collection? And I will answer all of your questions in this video. So the Morphe 35O2 is a little bit different in packaging than the previous palettes. Morphe is moving into stores, so I believe that that is why they are revamping their formula, their packaging, and all of that just to fit better in probably Ulta stores. So I think that's what they are going for, just a total rebrand, and I'm here for it. I think they're doing a great job. Here is the 350 palette. This is what the old logo looked like. There's still plastic packaging. They feel a tad different, but that is the difference. I don't want you guys thinking that this is a fake or something. They did change their logo and their packaging. So I'm trying not to blind you with the reflection. I'm going to take this off. This is a protective film, but it also has names for the shadows, which is different. So I'm glad they are including the names with the new packaging. I probably will hang on to this or move it up here just to hold on to the names so that I know what I'm using in tutorials. I do kind of wish they would have the names either on the back of the palette or somewhere permanent so that we didn't have to hang on to this. I don't like hanging on to them, but I do know that this is a nice added addition, and these things, they add up in production, so I do appreciate Morphe putting them into the palette. So here is the Morphe 35O2 in all of its glory. If you guys notice what I notice, it is a bit more vibrant than the 350. So there are some really popping shades in this palette, and the first thing I want to tell you, I just want to cut right to it because I don't want to like tiptoe around my thoughts. This is a new formula. This is identical, in my opinion, to the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. So we're getting an extremely bumped up formula in the case of the Morphe 35O2. This is definitely, in my opinion, the same formula. It's a very thick with the shimmers, it's very buttery with the mattes, and I just feel that it's a total difference from the original 350. So here we have the two palettes. This is the 350, this is the 35O2, so you can see what I'm saying. This is a lot more vibrant and packed with color than this one. There are an awful lot of neutral shades in both of them, but there are more neutral shades in the 350. Now, I do have to say, I loved the original 350, this palette right here. I love the collection of colors. I think you can come up with some beautiful looks. I really loved it. And something that this palette has going for it that the 3502 does not is the shimmer shades, the light shimmers for a brow bone. So I'll talk about this a little bit more in my tutorial, but this right here is the 350. The 3502 does not have an appropriate brow bone color for me, but as you can see, the 350 has a bunch of shimmery light shades and some matte lighter shades as well. So this palette does have that brow bone color and a lot of inner corner colors if you are into that kind of thing. The 3502 does not, but I still prefer the 3502, and I will tell you why. So the 3502 has this little shimmery gold color that I do have in the inner corners of my eyes, but it doesn't have any shades in here that I can put on my brow bone. But I feel like the reformulation of this palette alone makes it better than the original, and I feel like I would prefer this palette. Because I love the Jaclyn Hill palette so much, I really love the formula. When this reminded me of the formula and I knew right away that this was higher quality, I prefer this palette hands down. I do wish it had a lighter brow bone highlight in here, but I have a ton of highlighters in my collection. I have a ton of other palettes in my collection. If you must have a highlight in your palette, then this might not be the palette for you, but there are so many other reasons why I love this palette. Now I quickly want to show you the Jaclyn Hill palette in case you are just in the market for a 35 color palette and you're just having trouble choosing. This is the Jaclyn Hill. So this obviously has a more wide variety in colors. It has some pops of colors in it. It also has the warm neutrals. It has the brow bone colors. It has some oranges. It has browns. It has bronzes. It has pretty much everything. So if you're looking for a palette with everything and the nice formula, I do recommend the Jaclyn Hill palette, which is also in Ulta. I have an entire review up on this palette if you want to hear more thoughts from me and see the entire thing swatched. I also have the 35F, or the Fall Into Frost palette, which is one of my favorite Morphe palettes ever. Here it is. As you can see, this is more of a cool tone palette. I think it's absolutely beautiful for fall. It has a focus on shimmers and it has a lot of cranberries and purples. It is what you think of when you think of like a cranberry fall palette. I love this one, so if you're not into warm tone palettes, I don't know why you clicked on this video, but you would probably prefer this palette right here, which I do love. I need to whip it out more, especially because I feel like time is flying and like fall is going to be over before I know it. But another beautiful palette if you just haven't seen it before. I just wanted to give you guys some comparisons. So I am going to show you the entire Morphe 35O swatched by row. So here is the first row. You guys, these are like absolute butter. Here is row 2. Here is row 3. Here is row 4. And then here is the last row. This shade right here is the only one out of the palette that was kind of a dud. This is the shade Brunette, and I really had a hard time swatching that one, but the rest of them swatched perfectly. Alright, so as you can see from these swatches, a majority of them are consistent in quality. You can't really judge an eyeshadow from a swatch, whether it be a finger swatch or a brush swatch, because everything applies differently on the eyes. But so far, all of the looks that I have done, the mattes have been very, very blendable, very creamy, and these shimmers are amazing. They're almost like a putty formula. They are super foiled on their own. You don't have to use your finger. You can pick it up directly with a brush, which is amazing for beginners because sometimes shimmers are hard to pick up with a brush and it's hard to transfer that onto your eyelid. But I feel like if you guys pick up this palette or the Jaclyn palette, you're going to have a great experience with your shimmer eyeshadows, especially all over the lid. I am really, really impressed with the formula of this palette. So that is pretty much all that I have to say about this palette. Now I am going to jump into a tutorial using this palette. Hopefully that will be helpful for you guys as well. So if you guys want to stick around for the tutorial, then just keep on watching. So I know that somebody somewhere is going to give me a hard time for this, but I think that everybody and their mother who has reviewed this palette has most likely used the reds and the oranges. And I know that I recently did a bronze tutorial, but that's because that's what I enjoy. So I think I want to play around with some of the bronze shades in this palette. I'm sorry if you don't like that. I have a fiery red tutorial coming up on my Instagram with this palette, so keep an eye out for that if that's what you're interested in. But I want to do a bronzy look, so that's what I'm going to do today. To get started on the crease, I'm going to take this shade right here. This is called Universal. You do have to tap off your brush. Be careful because these are very pigmented shadows. You don't want to get too much fallout on your face. So I'm just going to blend this into the crease. I have a little bit of highlighter on my brow bone. That is the one thing with this palette There's one little shade, like a white gold shade, but other than that, there are not many. Actually, there's no brow bone shades in this palette for me. So Universal is blending perfectly in the crease, actually. No skipping or anything. I do have Painterly down as my eyeshadow base as usual. So I'm going to take this matte brown, it's a deeper brown color, this is called Rich, and I'm going to take a smaller blending brush and blend this into the outer third of my eye. And in small circular motions, I'm going to work this into the outer portion of the crease. That actually blended fairly flawlessly as well. Not bad. Now I'm going to go back in with a small amount of that Universal shade and just make sure that everything is perfectly blended up here in the crease area. So there are quite a few options for bronze shades out of this palette. So I have 4 of them swatched on my fingers. Here they are. As you can see, they're all extremely pigmented and fairly similar, but I think I'm going to go with this shade on my pointer finger, which is the shade Bronze, which is perfect for this look. So I'm going to fill up all of this empty lid space, and I have no problem applying it with a brush. As you can see, it is very pigmented and I don't need to use my finger. So I do think Morphe changed their formula. I feel like this palette falls in line with the same formula as the Jaclyn Hill palette. So the shimmers are more buttery, they are higher quality than the old 35O. So I definitely already know that I prefer the 35O2 because of the formula difference. I'm not getting any fallout because these shimmers are almost wet feeling, so they just stick right onto your eye. So now that that lid shade is on, I'm going back in with the small tapered, and I'm going to go back into that warm brown shade Rich, and I'm just going to outline that crease a little bit more. So we're going to fill in any gaps there might be between the shadows. And I'm going to keep doing that between both eyes until I get the depth that I want. So since we do have that one white gold shimmery shade, this is called Pure, I'm going to put that into the inner corner of my eye today. So I'm going to pop this right into that corner. I'm not going to drag it up at all. It's just going to be pinpointed right in the corner of my eye. Now I'm going to pick up that bronze shade with the same brush I used to pack it on the lid, and I'm going to drag it along my lower lash line. And that is it for the eyeshadow. I'm going to add some eyeliner, some lashes, but this is the eyeshadow look, and I want you guys to keep in mind, sometimes I do intricate eyeshadow looks, but most of the time I do looks like these that anybody can achieve because I'm not a professional makeup artist. I want to create looks that are easily achievable with these palettes for every person who purchases them. Okay, I'm back. I have my lashes on and my liner and all of that, but I wanted to add some glitter to this look, so I figured I would show you so I didn't just show back up with glitter and not show you how I'm doing it or what I'm using. So I have a new glitter. This is from Lit Cosmetics. It's in the shade Oprah. It's a really pretty coppery bronze color. And then I have their glitter base. So I'm going to apply these. So here is the glitter, if you guys can see it. So just one little dip in the base, one dip in the glitter, and I'm just going to pat it on the lid space. So it takes me less than a minute to apply the glitter, and I feel like it just takes the look to the next level. It makes it something special, so I just wanted to show you how I do that. So that is it for the tutorial portion of this video. I know that this video is probably pretty long, but I hope that it was helpful for those of you who are interested in this palette. If you did enjoy this video, then please give it a thumbs up for me. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do put out new videos every single week, and if you are interested in some more makeup tutorials or just random tutorials that are a bit quicker, actually a lot quicker than a YouTube video, then be sure to follow my Instagram. I am going to be updating my Instagram a little bit more often with some different content. And I want to thank you guys for supporting me on all of my platforms. Every comment, every like, every share, it means the world to me. Thank you guys all for all of your love and your support and positivity on a daily basis. I love you guys, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye.